On October 15, 2009, CNN tweeted, "Breaking news. A 6-year-old boy is floating away in a hot air balloon. Watch live. CNN.com/live." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show where we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. Okay, so on its own, you cannot guess why this tweet is important. It just is a tweet reporting out a news story from 2009, specifically when there was that whole hoax where people said that there was a little kid inside of a hot air balloon that was floating away. They called him Balloon Boy. The balloon looked like this, and they thought it was going to crash and he was going to get hurt. And then it turned out that he was just in the family's garage because the family was trying to get a reality TV show made about them. This was revealed when the boy accidentally said, "We were doing this for a show," or something like that in front of Wolf Blitzer. The son was named Falcon, this family was starved for attention, whatever. Because the details of the story are not at all why this tweet is important. It's important because for one reason or another, people have started to like to retweet it when other important events are going on in order to make it seem like it's currently happening. For example, just this week when Charlie Kirk met his untimely end, people retweeted it and act like it was the big news everyone was reacting to. Like Wheelable retweeted it and just said, "Oh my god." Or more on the nose, Twink Defcon said, "Look, no matter how you feel about the 6-year-old boy, the balloon's actions were completely unjustified." I'm not really sure why people first started doing this. Unfortunately, you can't sort quote tweets by date, and you can only scroll down so far before it stops giving you new ones. But according to my memory, and I might be wrong about this, I believe that it was Crushing Bort, who is an old weird Twitter account who no longer exists, who was the first person I remember retweeting this with some regularity. Oftentimes it wasn't with a quote, just like on a random Tuesday, you would just see breaking news, a 6-year-old boy floating away in a hot air balloon in your feed. And yeah, I just looked up at Crushing Bort and Balloon Boy, and I found this tweet that says, "Why are you RTing Balloon Boy tweets from 2009? So at the very least, he was a part of it becoming a thing to do. And personally, I feel like it started being used in the context I'm talking about when other crazy events are going on. In the 2020s, one of the first main times I saw it used is when Trump and Melania got COVID. Like that night, Lil Nas X retweeted it with the caption, "Bro, October just keep getting crazier, WTF." And then last year, when someone tried to take Trump out in Butler, Pennsylvania, people quote tweeted it. Devin SG said, "This so crazy, y'all, look." And the funny thing about every time someone will retweet it or quote tweet it is that people then react to it again as if it's just in the feed. Like that same day, Not Laja said, "Literally one of the best days on Twitter." Which is a thing I've heard, but unfortunately I was not even on Twitter yet when this was tweeted. But yeah, apparently the Balloon Boy day was fun. I'm sad I missed it. And beyond people being nostalgic about the tweet, sometimes people think that there's another Balloon Boy. Like in 2017, Steven Sperling said, "Oh god, before I noticed the date, I thought this hoax had started all over again." Or around the same time, Liam said, "When I saw this RT, I thought it was happening again. I got so excited. Another Balloon Boy would really bring this country back together." Some other events that people retweeted the Balloon Boy stuff around were the 2020 election. Bealise did it. In August, Swag Enabler quoted it saying, "First they declared martial law in DC, and now this happens." Somewhat delightfully, 2 weeks ago when we all were speculating what was going on with Trump, Kenzie said, "What if this is what happened to Trump though?" Which is a funny thing to imagine in the mind's eye. Even for news that's not that crazy, people do it. Nathan tweeted, "First the tariffs and now this. Trump needs to be stopped." And in 2023, when there was all that stuff about like Chinese hot air balloons entering US airspace, Greg had to do something. He tweeted out, "Does anyone have the CNN Balloon Boy tweet? I need it for a joke." And just minutes later he tweeted, "Guys, China sent us a boy," quoting the tweet. And like I said, since the tweet comes up with some frequency, people make observations about it and Balloon Boy. Like in 2023, Paige said Balloon Boy can legally drink next year. He's going back up for sure. Which leads me to an actual point I've always thought about Balloon Boy, which is like, if they actually wanted a reality show, if they actually wanted to seem so exciting that they needed a reality show, the kid should have been in the balloon. Family whose kid miraculously survives being in an out-of-control hot air balloon, that might be worthy of a show. Family where you thought that maybe a kid was in a hot air balloon, but then it turns out he's not, he's just in the garage. Like, even if that was all true, that's not show-worthy. Now, obviously, they shouldn't have done that in order to get a TV show, because doing any sort of publicity stunt in order to try to get a reality show is a sickness, but come on, let's be realistic about what warrants a TV show. Anyway, the absolute silliest observation that anyone's made about this tweet, and I'm not just saying that because this is a close friend of mine, was from my friend Michael Springthorpe, where he quoted it in June and said, "This happened on the 77th anniversary of the Clarksdale Juke Joint Vampire Massacre," referring to the events of the film Sinners. For some reason, he saw that the tweet was from October 15th and connected the dots that that's the date in the film Sinners, and decided to tweet that it was on the 77th anniversary of the Juke Joint Massacre. I don't know why I'm acting like this is completely foreign to me. This is also a thing that I would observe. There's a reason why we're close friends. I think the reason why this gets retweeted in moments where there are other big news events going on, or just retweeted randomly, is because it gets such an absurd headline, and it feels quaint for everyone to be freaking out and pointing to this, given the news environment we currently live in. And so like when something really serious and dire is going on, it is just funny to act like all of the seriousness and the direness is about a boy maybe being inside a balloon. I try to avoid feeling too nostalgic, but I definitely am nostalgic for a time where this is what we cared about. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and please consider joining my Patreon, patreon.com/Museum of Twitter. We get to vote on what to cover on Subscriber Sundays, and you get a weekly bonus series called the Museum of Not Twitter.